5 o'clock on my time. So let's get started on this. I'm looking forward to it. This is episode 11. Episode 11 and what makes it tick. And this time we get to talk with one of our own from been around here, Dwain Fontaine. Is
Yeah,
that
that's
right?
right. Fontaine, yeah,
All
French,
right, I
French
got it
Dominican,
right.
yes, right.
I don't always get names right, especially those that are spelled a little different than ours over here.
Yeah, yeah,
But we're looking forward to hearing from Dwayne with some of his new things in the wonderful world of captions, the thing that we always need now, but
yeah,
don't necessarily know how to get to an easy way, other than what EEG. Is that about it? That's kind of my go-to whenever I had those requests. I love being in sports because I don't have those requests very much and I don't
yeah,
have to worry about it as much, but I see it coming and I understand the reasoning behind it. So let's talk a little bit about it. So Dwayne, where do we start? Where did you start doing this?
Well, when did I start? I mean, I started, I suppose, when I was younger, I was a bass player, then became a sound engineer, and then about 27, kind of, a few mates died of overdoses, did a CCNA, and then now I'm here. And then I worked at loads of different TV companies, being quite a bit of a broadcast diva, I suppose, as you could probably imagine. Yeah, so training loads of old engineers, networking in broadcast for years. So I understand that like networking is difficult, definitely. And some of the newer stuff is pretty out there. Like some of the you can't understand networking, like DevOps and that stuff. Like it just seems like magic. So so I kind of understand that. But yeah, so at the moment I've been kind of working on this for about a year now. Working with some different developers, and obviously I've been architecting it. I do dev, but I'm a bit architect now and dev. So it's kind of almost ready to release. This is probably a little bit early for me, but I thought you invited me on, so it's best to go. So yeah, if you want to share the website, we can talk about it through the website a little bit, and then we can show you like a video demo. You can ask me any
All right,
questions.
and go ahead and tell me what that website is because I actually did not
Genosis.
pull it up. Okay,
www.genosisx.uk.
I didn't prep for that.
Sorry, it doesn't matter. Has anyone got any other talk about the more recent captioning solutions? That what they hate, what they love?
Well, Andrew is going to come in with some hate. I know he's probably been playing with it a little bit too much.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm ready. So, what is the website again?
Genosisx.uk.
All right, put it into the Discord for me, and then
Uh,
I'll grab it from there.
no
I am
worries.
not getting the link to come through. I've been having a fun time the last week or so. Ever since we tied in these two studios together, um, been fighting through some routing ourselves and also some shenanigans from AT&T Fiber themselves. Our speeds dropped down and we don't even have a hurricane outside, so I'll give them that excuse. Though they like to use weather as an excuse for whatever reason.
It's Facebook's fault.
Oh yeah, that was interesting today, right?
Did you reboot your router?
Oh, so many times.
I hate it when you call those people and you go, before you say anything, let me tell you everything I have done.
Yeah, exactly.
So, can I talk to your supervisor?
Tier
Now we
three,
have to go
please.
through the list first.
You have to get past first line first.
All right, so here we go. Now we're ready. So sharing our screen, and I'll just go directly to that one, and there we go.
Yeah, just go down to a little bit and go to explore. And then we can look at the application a little bit more. So yeah, this is the entry page application. So just be quite a simple sign in. That's it. You can that's quite obvious. So you'll have an RTMP and HLS output as well. So if you click on that, Jeff, you can go full screen that picture. Yeah, so you have RTMP and SRT inputs. So they both, so it will fail over. If one goes down, the backup will fail over, and then the primary won't come back on until 10 minutes. We will get a more sophisticated failover system, but for now it works because I need to get this MPP out. We've got HLS is where the transcription is going to be done. So that's like a normal HLS output. I know if you guys got experience with that. I know some of you guys know what you must use that.
Now, is this doing any touching of the stream itself, or is it just
repackaging? So no
okay, so
transcoding. So if you put in 1080, it will just decode it at 1080 and it'll just repackage it.
Okay.
So yeah. And also you got a web output. So the web output hasn't got any monitoring. It's for monitoring, so you won't get a transcription. Obviously, that's far too low latency. So that's for you to be able to monitor your output.
And is there where does the fun stuff with the AI part start coming in?
Oh, click the next one here because under if you click on that one here. So if you go on the AI Live Transcribe, you can just come in and choose your language. There's 20 languages at the moment, but I can customize it to have anything that you want, up to about 96 of the most common languages in the world. But obviously, you don't really need that probably at the moment for most of your client base. But if there are any languages that you really need, just definitely tell me and I can put it in.
Nice.
Also, so some of the functions. So if you speak Spanish or another language, it will translate it to English and the other language as well on the fly. Yeah. Any questions?
And it's not it's a single stream at that point.
Yeah.
So if you could you do multiple streams and that way you're captioning out, so say 10 languages on an event?
Yeah, I mean the way you have to, I mean currently at the moment we will have to get into a Docker and deploy it in a Docker compose file, but I can do that and give it to you, the script anyway, and that will just run in the cloud. Long term we will have it where there's more of a management system, but I kind of just want to get this into your hands as soon as possible, so I'm not trying to add too many features.
Gotcha. So you just create multiple entry points and multiple instances of each
Yeah.
one of those. Gotcha.
Yeah. And you change the port numbers around at the start. But long term, there will be a way where you just be able to have more of a kind of clusters kind of management system. But I mean, I can do the integration for that now, but that wouldn't be, a standard.
Gotcha.
You also got a recording function as well. I mean, if you click on the one on the left,
okay. So you could actually use this as after. Is it recording the captions?
Live, yes, embedded, yes, yeah. So you just start record and you just press download. So you can just download. I mean, we'll have a more complete naming convention, but I'm really trying to want to get this into people's hands in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So I'm kind of like trying to get a few the last final bugs out there. And because what we need at the moment, we have the subtitles that currently come as white. We also need to give them a different font and different colors, so you can change it live. I think that's quite an important feature.
How much bandwidth is this taking on an average setup? Are you using a lot of bandwidth coming in? I guess are we hosting this, and where are we hosting this? Let's start back.
Well, the thing is, yes, that's all great for you. You can host it. Eventually, you better host it on prem if you want to,
okay.
or you can host it in the cloud. I also am thinking about app that works with Dante and NDI that does the caption as well on site with a local instance of the AI transcription service. So one other great thing about this is that this also can integrate with different APIs. So I know like you guys used to use the AI media and they have their own AI, but the good thing about this app, you'll be able to choose a different API. For example, if you want a Microsoft API, which is really fast, but it's not as accurate, you can go for that. Or if you want the OpenAI API, you can integrate with that as well, or another API provider of translations.
Okay. Very cool. Well, let's see what it's doing live then. I've got your video clip that you sent over, and we'll play that out. I think I've got a little bit of audio in there, but nonetheless, let's see.
Eaton Bingo Club in the church. They have swapped around.
For what reason?
And now the church is the bingo and the bingo is the church.
That's crazy.
So random, isn't it?
Can't see that?
That happens.
Can people see that? Oh.
So-called judges.
Can't see that, Jeff.
Cheryl's parents separated when she was 11. Her dad, Gary Sr., still lives in the same area. Cheryl wants to find out what he knows about the family history.
Are you just checking the video for errors before showing it to us?
Yeah, Jeff, we still have the website on our share.
Oh, boo. I thought you were seeing that. Sorry,
No,
guys.
sir. Too many monitors.
Unfortunately, only one, and that's part of my problem.
Not enough monitors.
All right, then we'll start, pause that, and because I didn't do a full share, let's see. And
If only we knew a few broadcasters.
yeah, I seem to have lost my controls. This is awesome. Dun, 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 dun.
It happens to the best of us.
I lost my Zoom controls whenever I did that. Let's try a.
They're on the other monitor.
There we go. I forgot I put another monitor. I did actually have two monitors. I've got a little 15-inch one at the bottom, and it was buried at the very bottom of it. There we go. Behind my papers and stuff. All right, now we go back to, we'll share again, but this time we'll share the actual video. Video player. All right, share. There we go. All right, we can see that, right?
I can see it.
All right, yay. All right. So SRT or RTMPN then, is that right?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes. We're gonna have SLT out, but an RTMPS, but it's just too much time to get it to work.
Jeff, the audio's a little low on the clip. What's the latency look like from spoken word to scene word?
Still lives in the same area. Cheryl wants to
Increased it a
find
little
out
bit
what he
for you.
knows about the family
Much
history.
better. Dwayne, are you dragging the video to help it sync up a little bit?
I shouldn't be. No. I'm actually just pulling the download for video service.
Okay. No, I was just curious to see if you were like, so
No,
captioning could complete if you were slowing the video down just a little bit to make sure they're synchronized.
No. I mean, it's quite an interesting dilemma because you can get the service to go super quick, but then the quality is not quite as good, and then the price goes up. So because it really depends on your API service provider. So we can change it to what you actually need.
Died in 1980 when Gary was just 17 years old.
We lost my dad at the age of 39.
Do you remember him, Dad?
Very sure, yeah. As much as you can remember somebody for 17 years.
I know it's crazy. It's mad now that I'm like in my 30s to think he's just a few years older than me when he died.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Wow. It's pretty quick.
I mean, it's quite good. I think there's definitely can be some improvements. I think as a product, it works quite well. And I just need to, get it ready for release and then see how it goes. I mean, I also would like any feedback or any improvements or any bit more about your scenarios or a bit more about, what your problems are with captioning at the moment. It'd be great to hear any feedback.
What were you saying about WEP? I didn't quite catch that. As far as the WEP, it has WEP output.
It has web output as well, yeah, for monitoring.
Okay.
So
Okay, just but it shows the captions on the WEP output.
no HLS.
Okay, just in HLS. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So the web output is for monitoring. So it's for you to see where you are. You know, if you're going how far behind, we can just go a quick. You can just visually change.
Okay.
So you know, because if you look at the UI, it's meant to be for operators to use. You know, it's meant to be quite simple. So even if you example, if you were sending from OBS, the pre-populated SRT on the can you just show the website again, Jeff? Is that right?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Can you show the website again, Jeff?
Sure, sure. There you are.
Yeah, so if you were to click on just click on the front one, that'd be fine, the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's just a HLS output, and that'll be captions. And if you click on the second picture as well, no, sorry, not second one. The fourth one, probably. Yeah, that one there. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. So that's a web output.
Okay.
And so the green lights obviously signify if it's running. Okay, so these will turn red when it's not working.
Okay. And is there have you ran any problems on the recording side? What is there a format on that? Exactly. And are you getting out the text also that's going out in the captions? I know I've had requests for that in some of our virtual event stuff.
So like what you mean? So you mean like so when it's recording to MP4,
Okay.
and then it just embeds the SRT with it. SRT file, a subtitle file.
Okay.
So you're burning in the captions?
Yeah. I mean, we can burn them in, or we can, burn them in the caption at the moment. Yeah.
And then would you have it? Is it available to download those captions, the transcribes after it's already done?
It will be, but not probably in the first model. Probably
Okay.
not in the first version of the software. I have quite a lot of plans for the software. I want to integrate some vocal stuff as well. So we do more like vocal translations. So that's kind of the next stuff we're looking at, and obviously making it multi-channel and having a kind of space where you can after you've done the transcription, you downloaded it, you can get another AI to double check it. Because that's the way. Because I realized that a lot of people, some of these people, they want like a downloaded transcription, but sometimes the AI doesn't get it right. So the way to get around it will be get another AI to check it.
Which AI do you use for the transcription?
At the moment, I don't really mind. You can use Whisper. I can use the Microsoft API as well. We can also use a few other API providers. So if you're thinking about integration, I mean, we can definitely change it to suit your needs.
Do you find that there's a major difference between, let me just say it, your English and my English or Texan?
Not really, man. Not the thing is trained on 680,000 hours. The best model for actually quality is trained on so much data that you're very common. You're not a small tribe in, say, Peru with only 400 speakers.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, so yeah, it performs very well. I mean, I'm definitely more happy to give any of you a more inclusive demo one-on-one at any time and go through a bit more of the details. But also the one advantage that we'll be able to do with integration is to be able to run a local AI model. So for security conscious people that don't want to use an API to send to OpenAI or Microsoft or one of the other API providers, we can deploy it locally. That's still not been tested enough for me to give to anyone yet, but I have got it working.
Is that just a container you're providing?
Yeah, it will just be a container. Yeah. So what I would do for the local versions, probably I would make a Docker compose file and then go from there. But it's still early stage, so bear with me. It's quite experimental stuff, and I haven't got the biggest budget, so we're getting there.
If you need the test, let me know.
Pardon?
If you need some of the tests, let me know.
Oh yeah, definitely hook me up. I'm definitely wouldn't you definitely test it. And at the moment, we're still doing CPU transcoding, so I'm really waiting for the GPU update, which should be the next 3 weeks, very soon. And then it'll be a scale a lot better. Because at the moment, you will still need probably a 12 vCPUs to do one stream.
Actually lighter than I expected it to be. That's lighter than I expected it to be.
It should work. I mean, I tried to test it on really cheap cloud stuff to see if it would work, and it didn't do that because I've just got it running my Epic at home. Was part of it anyway, the transcoding part. But yeah, I mean, it definitely should, depending which model you have. But yeah, it should be right. But with a GPU, say, for example, any of the T400s or any of the, you would be able to probably put about 16, 20 streams on if you want to get a GPU hardcore and working. So. I mean, even a 1660 Super unlocked can do 24 streams. I mean, yeah, if you unlock it, the consumer cards. Just saying, if you're at home or you want to set up. Yeah, you got some more questions or any?
I have a question.
Yeah,
Dwayne. I'm gonna assume this is like a version 3, version 4 sort of thought request, but I'm an editor primarily, and I deal with people that are super picky, like software companies in the Pacific Northwest, and they want their transcriptions to be this font, justified like this, 40 pixels over, 20 pixels down, boom, in this box. And I realize that's way down the line, but in terms of like setting yourself apart to be able to do that kind of stuff and do it live might be really cool. And I don't know what that user interface looks like. It's probably some text boxes and boopadoo and pick the font and whatever.
I have thought about this already, Chris, but what I want to do and what I can do now on my budget is not like
I totally get it. No. Yeah.
But we are getting. I'm getting there. So I'm
put that at the top of the page, maybe like the third page, but the top of the page of feature requests.
Yeah,
third page.
I completely agree because I know already because I've already spoken to a few clients already where you've got the transcription. The AI is going to do it live. It will probably get 98, 97% right, but it's not going to get 100% right. And you may have a way you want to format it. So there is going to need to be another AI doing pre-processing.
Yeah. Just so you know, formatting is more and more a thing, Yeah.
I'd like to take it one step further than what Chris just said, because if you watch TV, the one thing that always kind of irks me is when the captions all of a sudden just are just right over somebody's face. And I know that certain shows they'll actually move it. So if you have AI to figure out where the face is and then put the caption in the opposite corner or opposite end, that would help dramatically in getting, instead of all the captions being on the bottom or on the top, because that gets a little bit frustrating after a time, and especially if you've got lower thirds going, you got captions over lower thirds and you can't see anything like that.
Yeah, that's my absolute biggest gripe, without a doubt. And I'm thinking of this also in a live in a live environment, graduations, for instance, that I've done quite a few of those with universities, and that was a requirement that we had to have captioning live at the time for the people that were actually there, just for the hearing impaired. That was their way of saying it, and I can see that as being more and more requests for just to be politically correct, I guess you would call it, but it is, we got to be cognizant of those people that are there that need those tools. So would you say this would be fast enough to be on site full live like that in an IMAG situation?
If we had a local version of the AI, yes. Or I'm actually thinking of making another app, but I can't do with both at the same time, where it runs locally on a little GPU box thing, and then we can put Dante or NDI into it.
That's what I was thinking, NDI in and out kind of thing.
I don't want to integrate.
That's going to have some. It's going to have a little bit of latency. Yeah, a little bit of latency, but I don't know. Even in like Chris's idea of being able to move it around or something, if we can get maybe take it instead of the in bedside and rewriting it, is just being able to take that out as a graphics output and then pushing that into a something that's keyable, for instance.
Yeah,
can't
that's a separate app, Jeff. What you want, that's in a separate app. That needs to be an on-site app where
Okay.
it's not using really streaming protocols where you just plug in a mic kind of
Mhm.
thing, or NDR Dante. So be something
Right.
more like, you know, you could run it in the cloud, but something made more for like, I don't know, like kind of like mixing and on site. I think I don't want to put too much in this one app, and I think I can build
Agreed.
same separately.
Yeah. Yeah. Still using the same thing, the same controls and ability to write it all. Yeah.
Yeah, but mate, yeah, I mean, I think it would be. I don't know if you want something NDI and Dante. I think you design it quite slightly different, slightly more like, I don't know, like on-site tools, like the mixing desk or the vision mixer kind of. I don't think I would design it quite the same way as I designed this. I think this is more of a streaming device.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But yeah, no, I hear your words. I think that would be quite handy if you could just, you know, at an event, you know, run Dante into something and just display it on the screen with a HDMI output.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and then especially if you had the AI local, is really good for security.
Right. Right.
You know,
Security and speed also. Well, I mean,
yeah, definitely
both,
security
right?
and speed. Yeah. So I mean, and to be honest, you know, a lot of the AI stuff will run on like, you know, you could probably run on a 16 Super, like definitely one instance, maybe two. So on the GPU, so it's not really expensive, as in, you know, compared to what kind of video tools that everyone has. I mean, a 66 Super is not worth a lot of money.
Right.
Could you output it, Jeff? Could you output it to HTML5 and for devices that could take that?
Ooh,
yeah,
that would actually be, yeah.
So now you got your alpha and your fill, and you. I mean, I know all boxes don't do that, but increasingly
There's a
more.
lot of them that do, though. There's a lot more video switchers that do, especially the software-based ones.
HTML5 keyable sources are like magic to old guys like me that have been, you know, wiring chyrons for 40 years.
Yeah.
It's like, what? I don't understand. You don't need to. It just works.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We were actually having a conversation with a client earlier today, and HTML5 came up, and they come from another 4-letter company, and they're like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? No key fill?" I'm like, "No, nothing at all." Yeah. What do you mean? It's like, no, it has to have a key fill. Yeah, that's how you get the alpha. I'm like,
that's what I mean. Like it's a thing that needs to be communicated. Like I just sent in a request format to a request thing to the fruit company for their PowerPoint replacement, and say, hey, why don't you give us HTML5 out of Keynote? That'd be dope. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely play off of that. Well, Dwayne, this was fantastic, man. I appreciate you jumping in at the last minute. I know it was kind of threw you into the fire a little bit, a little pressure, but thanks for thinking about us also to be your guinea pigs. I'm looking around the screen here and I'm seeing a lot of guinea pig capabilities. Sure.
Yeah. So the one thing I'll say, Jeff, so on premises, what latency do you think is too much for captions from vocal? What kind of latency, you know, what would be interesting to see? How much?
A frame.
A whole frame, yeah? A frame.
300 milliseconds.
That's how much that's going, I think. Maybe.
Just look at all the other boxes that throw a frame in. A frame here, frame there. Everybody's getting us a frame. It's like Oprah.
That's why. That's kind of what I'm saying. A frame, maybe two.
And my use case, like, I don't know how they're doing it, but it's always less than a second. So.
What's that?
I said any theater performance I go to lately, you know, they have open captions. They have a little display board in front of the stage, but it's well under a second. I mean, it's I don't know what they're doing, but
I mean, if you use the Microsoft API, it is really fast. But how accurate it depends. If you're using a remote API, there is a bit of a kind of like, you can get it really fast and it won't be as good, or you can get it really, really good and it won't be as quick. But you're on site, definitely. I think, yeah, you definitely get it quite low. So I'll definitely have a look. It'd be good if you've got any other captioning examples or services that you use, or that, you know, if you got a bit more of examples or some gripes to tell me what they don't do well, that would be helpful.
John, are you doing in your multi venues in your setups are you having to do captions for live captions, or is
It
it all
doesn't
just?
come up live yet, but it's definitely on our radar.
Yeah.
So when I jumped in and saw this, I was like, oh, we were just talking about this. And then knowing like, oh, I can run on a Docker container. And for me, 5 seconds would be fine. You know, like I'm distributing across the campus. Nobody's seeing this in real time. It's across multicast.
Yeah, so what he has right now would be perfect for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, like, love to get my hands on that container. I love to test
well, it's not a container yet. It's still it's going to be made into a container soon. It's still getting developed on. So we need to add another button to say it's transcribing as well, and a few other bits, and add some color font changes, because at the moment we can't change the color and font. So I think that's really important to at least be able to do that.
Yeah, let me know when you're ready.
No, we'll do.
Definitely. I was thinking, just in my crazy mind, every once in a while, and we were talking about the speed thing, so accuracy and speed. So could you make that like on a slider that would allow you to adjust it real time? It's like over here I've got English, and then by the time I get over here, it's like really fast Spanish from Mexico City, you know?
I mean, you could choose a different API provider, and then this performance will be a bit better.
There's your UI, Jeff. Just better, faster. Just slide.
That's it. That's all you need. Just slide it, and then you need a knob that you hand to the client, and then you're like, okay, you adjust it to where you like it, and then just turn it up, turn it down.
There is a third vector on that graphics, and that's price.
Oh,
that has to be vertical, so that you get the triangle.
But
we're gonna assume you already paid for it, though. You don't even get to see that knob until you've paid for it.
Just another question: which of these APIs do you think give the most accurate result for the most? Yeah, Whisper is really good. Yeah,
Whisper pretty. There's not as accurate. I mean, you've got some other companies. What they do, they've got a worse AI, and then they program on top of it. So they fix it by putting the programming layer, but there's not actually a better based AI. So if I can build this with just me and a super low budget, I can build amazing tools with actually some sort of budget. So yeah, I'm not worried about it now. What I will be amazing. So it's quite good now, but it will get better. I mean, if you want to use Whisper, you have got implementations that you can run it faster. So if you're a bit more Linuxy, you can find ones that will run it super quick. Like, can do like 3 hours in about 90 seconds.
Are you having to do the Whisper chunking? Because Whisper's set up to run in 30-second increments of audio, right? So in order to make it go faster, you have to actually clip it and chunk it. And unless you know something I don't.
No, the real time implementation I'm running is for that would be some university doctor paper from the middle of nowhere. That's how I got it to run locally quite well. Yeah, we use the API for the actual the server itself. But we can integrate it with the local instance, but I'm still doing more testing on that. But so far, it runs quite well.
Got it. Yeah, because the implementation of Whisper that I was using, and I think the OpenAI's paper on it was the way that they originally have it set up, is it chunks in 30-second segments.
Yeah,
so
yeah. But to get a real-time one to work closely, it's not that one. It's a complete modified version, because that's just too slow.
You can trick it by dumping in seconds at a time and filling it with nothing. And when Whisper goes to crawl it, it's just like, oh, there's nothing here. I'll go to the next one. So it's constantly processing.
What are you using for file-based then mainly?
I was messing with it for file-based. I was experimenting to use it for transcribing NASCAR radio comms.
Okay.
To be able to caption that, or like F1 does it manually right now, as far as I know, where they'll listen to their channels and then type in. There's only so many phrases that drivers and pit crews say to each other, so they were picking from a box. Yeah, box. So like they have preloaded things, but they're manually picking between who's talking, and since they're full readable, you should be able to feed in separate, and they should be able to identify those channels discreetly rather than having to manually separate the clips, whether the driver's talking or the pit crew's talking.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some interesting speaker identification stuff you can add in as well, but it's all moving so quick that It's great. And the great thing I think about Whisper is that it will work. Like, you speak Spanish and you want to, convert it to, I don't know, Arabic, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean that's the huge benefit is that you can very easily spread. I mean, from an accessibility standpoint, like NASCAR does stream all their radio channels, and if they could easily put those into from speech to text, that opens an enormous amount of accessibility for them on mobile and web, or even in stadium. So I got an email from a company that's going under Track Swift. I put it in What Makes It Tick. That floated around to me earlier that's doing something similar but focused in motorsport and really focused in sorting who's talking when about what. It was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of identifications, I don't think that's not that particularly hard to do.
No, well, especially if you're taking in a bunch of audio channels simultaneously and they're all discrete source.
Yeah,
you can just tag it as the source that's coming in.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that's too hard to do. But I did have a freaky moment actually, with Whisper, where there was a very famous person called Cheryl Tweedy in England, and it says the audio wise, her dad's left. Her dad's left home, but then it pulled from his data set. He was also an alcoholic. All right, and that's true data.
So yeah, Whisper will hallucinate. Whisper,
yeah. So
it does that hallucination, especially because it was trained on a ton of YouTube videos. So after a sentence, it'll sometimes say like and subscribe, and it never says that anywhere.
It says that anyway, but what it says, this doesn't happen regularly. This is a 1 in 100 time or 1 in 4 or 5 times time. It pulled from the data that it's been trained on, and displayed information. All right, it freaked me out. So yeah, and that's not meant to happen.
Hallucinations. It's just
But it's not a hallucination though. It's not because it's correct data. He's pulled it from the wrong. So it's not really. It's not hallucinations. It's wrong. It's right.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, if it's not saying it though, it's a hallucination. We just started doing this with mortgage documents, and so we want to validate. Does this document say this?
Yeah.
And we had to put a bunch of extra logic in place to say you can't say it if it's not here, because sometimes you're like, yeah, 100% it's here. Google and it's completely convinced itself.
Notebook LM has started. The Notebook LM team has been working on trying to get citations. You can feed it your Google Docs and PDFs and everything, and then it will cite for you. It's like, here on this document is where I got this. Here on this document is where I got this, and it'll actually, as it always should, show you where it sourced that information. But that's been really nice to see from them, rather than just I don't know, it's on the internet somewhere, I made it up.
Yeah, we did the same thing. We're like, we want a screenshot from where in the document you found it. And then it started doing that, so our underwriters can go through and quickly validate the document and not have to read the whole thing and say, here's exactly what I found. And it's been speeding up the process.
I think there's going to be a lot more. So in the future, we'll have multiple agents that connect to different models that do different jobs. So, and the thing is about AI at the moment is that, even if AI stay the same level and we just program on top of it, it'll be amazing, because actually what's going to happen on top is what's going to be really interesting. How these models, because the vision models are coming along as well now. So you can use ChatGPT to control your computer. So you give it a command and then it controls your computer. So things are moving on really quick. There's a new model out all the time. You've got Minstrel, open source. You've got Mixtral. You've got so many other great open source models out there coming. So yeah, it's just a really interesting time, and just to see how small producers have a chance, especially with the newer startups, to be able to do a lot more than some of the big producers. So I think it'll be interesting if adopting the right tools, and then see what happens.
It just like Andrew was saying, it's like I never thought of that, of transcoding radio talk is as a thing. Like, why would you want this? Why would you need this? But if somebody can do it, and then you could turn around and sell it.
Yep. If it's cost effective or a sponsorable element for the production,
and
or
tie a sponsor to it.
Or
I mean, I haven't talked about the pricing though. Like the pricing, like captioning.
All right, so what are you thinking, Dwayne?
I'm thinking, well, first there's going to be some test cloud nodes just to get you tested on. Then there'll be some licensing. Then there'll be a SaaS product. So, and also because I really want to give the smaller, the mid-sized service providers some integration help as well. been needed or whatever, to also help you guys be able to resell the services. Because I'm a software company. I don't want to be a caption company. That's not what I do. But I want to build software that stops you ever needing a caption company. So that person who you go to the caption company who sorts it out after, double checks it, that needs to be another AI.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense.
So that's the end goal as well. But yeah.
Very good.
Anybody? Are you guys scared of AI in general, or what do you guys thought?
I personally, the other guys in the OH community, when they first came out, was it a year ago? I guess it was. It's all they talked about for weeks, months, and I never bought into it. I just like whatever. I don't care. I don't care about making a picture. I don't care about doing a synopsis, a theme or something. But I've touched on a few tools that I'm in like, oh wow, oh, there it is. And this would be one of those tools. This is one of those times. This is where I'm thinking, okay. Now, granted, I do tracking, so I mean, part of my thing is using, as they call it, AI. It's not truly AI, but it is computer vision tracking. But to me, AI is more, I guess you would say, sentient or more. That's when I think in my mind, I'm thinking every time I think AI, I'm thinking Star Trek.
Or, well, you're talking AGI in general, no, GI, general artificial intelligence. That's the one everyone's trying to get to. But I don't know. I'm a little bit scared. I can't say I'm not, like, because I think I see it all the time and I see how much improvement we're going. And I think, especially once we get a new level of AI chips like Grok. Have you heard of Grok? They're the new AI chips, so they're going to make inference like the word we use when we processing AI. So you don't use like, we're inference is like processing. So it does really quick inference. So when the new chips come out and the new, so modern CPUs will probably have, and GPUs are going to have probably a special ASIC at some point on them to just do the AI separately. So that'll be a time of expansion as well.
I don't know. I've seen all the Terminator movies. It doesn't end well.
But the thing is, we're already bullying them.
I just want to do my taxes and my write-offs for me. Just like go look at my statements, pull everything. If I was here and I ran the card, I was probably at work. Just put it in that bucket for me. I don't need to pay somebody to do that.
Got a good point there. Yeah.
Give me meaning. Yeah, give me meaningful change in my life. Do my taxes for me, robot.
Have any of you used any of the uncensored language models? Yeah, I don't know. They're dangerous. I mean, in the wrong person's hand, they are dangerous.
Last week we we were working on a laptop that actually had ChatGPT local to it.
Yeah.
So you could create whatever you wanted off of that laptop within reason, of course.
Yeah, I mean, if you're running a laptop, I would run LM Studio because that will let you use multiple models. So you can download this very simple Windows app. ChatGPT for all is a bit more limited. But yeah, check out LM Studio if you want to run it locally.
Wow. Greg, you've been quiet, unusually quiet.
Just try not to interrupt this fabulous presentation.
This is amazing, though. I mean, I never thought it was so quick until you showed me, and I was like, "Holy cow, this is amazing," and I could see so many potentials. My mind's just going around and around what Andrew brought up, and just the possibilities for extra sales avenues. And we're working on a project now that it would be like, okay, that would be another add-on that just people fight. It's a thing that we fight, and this could be another option to be able to bring to the table to say, look, we solved this because it's going to broadcast or streaming broadcast, whichever way you want to look at it, and more of them are asking for these type of things.
Yeah, I'm looking at SCSI 708 integration, but I need an engineer who's worked on that beforehand because that is not a simple integration. Integrating subtitles with AI is not. Very smart people are like, no, Dwain, no. so I need to find the right person. I'm hunting for them. I don't think there's many in the world, but I will find the person for that down the road at some point.
Chris, are you pulling those out of chat right now?
Midjourney.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But does it go to 11? I mean, any knob should always go to 11.
There's a modifier key. You hold
go
down
right
the control
past
key,
10.
10 turns into 11.
So how do you guys feel about vision models being able to be operators eventually? How are you guys feeling about, the potential that at some point maybe, you'd be able to rent an AI operator?
Who on the crew?
You think a vision mixer? Or
yeah, definitely vision, anything you can put in the cloud really that will have an API.
So I've directed a lot of video. I've cut thousands of hours of video that, for years.
Yeah.
And, I've seen these plugins like click on this. And, I mean, I used to joke about moving lips in every frame. You're done, and to a degree, that's a little bit about what, editing like an interview is. But what you have to remember is that this is my philosophy, and I'm going to stick to it because it keeps me employed. What we're doing here is communicating to humans, and the best way to communicate is with people is through their emotions.
True.
Show me a computer that understands the emotions.
So you think the AI can't learn your emotions?
No, I'm saying it hasn't learned it yet, and I'm hoping it doesn't in a while. But show me a computer that can find a woman who's about to cry when the discussion starts to go to her child.
They will do soon. They will do.
I don't know about soon. I'm not saying they won't. And again, the robots win. We know that.
You said that. Yeah.
But how?
But until then, I'm counting on the fact that I can read people's emotions better than a computer.
For me, it's about in sports. It's more about telling the story. So
let me see that. I'll get a white paper for you, Chris, and I'll do a little blog post on it, see if I can find something like.
So this is going to go in the archives, and we're going to circle back in a year, and we're
but what I'm talking about is like getting that reaction shot, or Jeff, the sports, finding the player's girlfriend in the stand and cut to her when she's sitting on the edge of the seat when he's doing the last serve.
Chris,
is this the game set match or not?
Chris, if all the good vision mixers, right, have their own style, right, but they're still kind of similar, it would just as long as it can watch all the data, it doesn't matter. It will emulate it.
But they're not the same. They're not the same. There are better directors and there's better vision mixers. That's why they're employed.
You may not. They may not be Mozart.
So what you're talking about, Dwayne, is the bell curve of acceptability. The computers will take away 80% of the work very quickly.
Yeah,
very quickly. I mean, when I started in this business, Philips LDK 25 took an hour per camera to turn on.
Yeah,
it took two engineers. Two engineers, 1 hour per camera just to turn it on. You want to start shooting at 8 o'clock, they're in at 6 a.m. in the studio. So obviously, good cameras, smarter cameras are easier to use, but you still need some good engineers.
You're always going to need some, but maybe.
So I always tell people, don't jump in the middle of the bell curve. If you want to get into this business, you got to be out on the lunatic fringe. You got to be right out there on the little pointy bit of the bell curve and be the very best at what you do, because it's going to take longer for the computers and the robots to put you out of business.
Yeah, I mean, but
it's going to take longer.
Yeah.
I think it is inevitable. I mean, I watched a few hours of tennis, just a few.
Yeah.
And after sitting there for days watching the same actions, because we were training ourselves to be the same thing over and over. The consistency, it's what our clients wanted, it's what the fans wanted. And I would have to, sometimes I'd bring in freelancers, I'd be like, whoa, if you start it now, you start doing this, then we're gonna have to change our whole flow and thus introduce more work for us when you're not here. So there were times that we had to make changes, conceptually of what, that would be a great shot or a different, angle or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's great. But this is what we've done for this many shows for this many years. So as I was looking at that so many times, I did see what you saw, Dwayne, what you're asking me, exactly that. There is no reason that you can't say, go to the server, stay on the server until you see impact of the ball on the racket. At that point, cut to the baseline camera. Whenever play is done between that, play back a replay from camera 3 or 4 that should have been following the player. Now, granted, we can't do that blind normally, because then at that point, then you're getting hosed because their camera operator just dipped down or whatever in the middle of the shot. So there's some human element there that we had to watch, which I say, though, you could say that too and train an AI to do the same thing. I look at tennis or any paddle sport that's contained in a space.
I think
absolutely.
Well, maybe you got to break the rules. There was a thing recently, Jeffrey might know what this was. I think you talked about it last week. I think it was like some Twitch idiots that were doing like hockey or basketball or whatever. And they got a bazillion views because they were looking at a well-established robotic sport. May I borrow your term, basically, a well-established robotic sport. And they said, no, we're going to break every rule. The show was very well received. It got millions of views. And what I'm saying is, and I think John Connor did it too, you beat the robots by not thinking like the robots. You got to break.
But the robots don't think like you. They don't think, really, not yet. They don't even understand how the deep learning even works.
But according to Jeff, they're going to follow the formula. Stay on the server till there's impact on the racket. So don't do that. Give me a better show. Break the rules. Let the freelancers come in and go, oh my God, we got to rethink the way we do everything. You're going to have to do that. Otherwise, you will be replaced by a robot any day now.
Unfortunately, the fan base is going to dictate to some of that too. Because I started, when I first started doing this 11, 12 years ago, when we first started doing tennis, I was like, why do we have to put the camera there? Why can't we do a slash, off to the side and use that as a wide shot? And I caught hell for 2 days straight. Like, why is it the baseline camera in the center? Why isn't it in the center? Why in the center? Because fans were they couldn't deal with it. It was too different at that point.
Is this the same fan base that watches golf and says CBS's coverage on Sunday is far better than Golf Channel's coverage on Thursday, when it's the same crew, same direction, same production, same everything? Is it?
Look at basketball. When I was doing basketball, I used to do very low level, NBA games, and it was 4-2. It was just a basic 4-2, right?
Yep.
So you don't get to do camera 5 unless you've already done 1, 2, 3, and 4. You got to have your game cam. You got to have your hero. You got to have your 2 under the net cams. Then you go to camera 5.
Sure.
Right. So you outthink the robots, man.
Yeah, I all I see an action model, a vision model, and then maybe an ASR to listen to audio, and then they need to make it a bit more low latency, and then we need to train the model on loads of people.
I used to have a director that said to me, I used to switch for this guy all the time. He'd say, he goes, "What?" He said, "I'm going to replace you with a voice activated switcher." I go, "You have no idea how many times I save your ass. Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, they don't know where they're cut. You already have it in preview, and they're like, "Yeah, that one."
Another thing, Jeff, that goes into these games and the cutting you do on the field, as you said, it could be, and also for the golf on Thursday or Wednesday or whatever. I don't watch sports. I don't have time since I'm a techie. That's another story. If you could have a robot following your cue, but cutting for another audience, like for the Sunday show, you will cut one vertical for the youths, you cut in a different pace, and you'll cut one for the oldies 40 plus, and then you have a third version for the 20s to the 40s. So this is what we are thinking, is how can we increase the quality or the perceived quality of the production for a defined target group that kind of does not like the way it should be done. So this is what we are doing. And as as to the transcription, live transcription, we don't use that too much, but we have a lot of jobs for the government and state connected organizations that if they're going to keep the clip online after the first 2 weeks, it needs to be transcribed. So they can have it, a live production can be out for 14 days and then taken down if they don't transcribe it. So we're more into the post-production transcription, and we also use a lot of a Whisper to do that, and that has been really good for us, even in special dialects here in Norway.
Yeah, it is amazing. I have to admit. What model are you using? The V3 model or the V2?
We try to test them up against each other and see which one is. It seems to be some discrepancies and hallucinations, and so we're testing it out as we speak. In fact.
Yeah. It's. I'll be interested to see how things are moving on the next 2 to 3 years. I think it's going to get so much better, these base models.
Oh, I look like 3 months.
Yeah. I mean, every day something.
3 to 4 months.
Yeah. I mean, and there's always a new white paper, someone designing something, and so yeah, it's just like there's so much information out there.
But a question: your software is basically just taking the live feed and chopping it up and sending to really quick transcribing. So your focus is solely on being a real-time transcribe service.
More or less, but so what will happen? Hello, can you still see me?
Yep, still
my
there.
Screen's gone blank for some reason. Oh my god, it's on. So we are. So what will happen? We'll have after it's transcribed. Eventually, we'll have another spot where we do file base as well. So after we have a normal transcription live, we'll have another place where we can retranscribe it if you're not happy. So that's an add-on that will happen. Yeah, I mean, I do see a way where I can see a handy app where a file-based kind of clustered version of a customized version of Whisper. What kind of speeds are you getting on Whisper when you transcript?
Oh, it's still a little bit too slow for me.
Yeah,
but we have like 1 hour recordings that needs to be transcribed.
So are you running on the GPU or are you running the CPU?
No, we're running it in the cloud.
On the GPU?
Yeah, so we're running it in the cloud. You're using the API directly.
All right.
Yeah. So
if you want it super fast, you've got to run your own customized version local.
Right? Yeah, of course. Yeah. But what we're doing now, because the recordings themselves are not clean enough, so our kind of way of doing things is to clean up the recording and making it sound a little better so we're also testing which frequency areas is the best for the Whisper to detect the language perfectly. So we're playing with that as well to emphasize certain aspects of the audio and take out other stuff and trying and testing and see what the results are. And we see a significant difference in something that is not processed and what we have processed. So that's also important for the next iteration that we are playing with.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, the only thing if you really wanted it fast, the API is not actually that fast for Whisper, so you would have to deploy instances locally and they use a customized code. Thing is, the 16 floating point version and some other. Have you heard of Whisper distilled Whisper as well? Have you heard of that? There's quite a few different versions. That's why they kind of that can improve your speed if you run it locally. So I mean, I think one of them's like 90 seconds for 2.5 hours content. If you run it on the right GPU.
Yeah, we have another one that you probably heard of, Audio Hijack, which has a transcribe beta version that does.
No, send me. I'll be happy to look at it.
Good for them. I love their software.
It's slow.
Yeah, it's really slow.
Yeah, I run Whisper locally on my Mac, on my M1 Pro Max, and it can cruise a 2-hour file in like 5 minutes. And then Premiere.
But the Macs are really
Adobe's,
good at AI though. The process is really good.
I've been really
good.
surprised at how well my M1 can
Yeah.
crunch. And then whatever Adobe's doing for their Premiere integration of transcription, they basically took all the ideas that Descript had for editing and shoved them into Premiere. And I was like, oh, I know how to use this software. Okay, cool. And that's been excellent because it can kick out it can burn them in. It can kick out an SRT file for me. It can kick out a standard like captioning file. So Adobe is at least working on one of their applications right now.
Yeah, and DaVinci on the other end is useless. We can't use it for anything here in Norway.
Well, they're not spending any time working on After Effects, so.
Yeah. But the file-based stuff, I'm not too keen to compete on that on the forefront at the start because there's a lot of ways to do it already. The app I will build really would probably help you do it if you're going to do it in a big transcoding farm kind of way. If you're going to do a lot, and I'll scale it in Kubernetes. But I mean, that's the kind of thing I can probably offer. But that's not everyone will want that.
Well, fantastic! What a great time! I appreciate you, Dwain, again for jumping in and what a great project that you're working on. I'm looking forward to testing it some more myself, and I'm sure we'll come up. I'm gonna create a new thread that's just for your product stuff on the Discord, so that way we'll have a place we can all ask questions and coordinate things a little bit more. But that wraps it up for another hour. And What Makes It Ticks. Appreciate you guys all coming by and spending some time together. Look forward to this every week, and we'll see you next week. This is going to be a great one for I'm talking to a friend of mine. His name is Doug, and Doug is not that Doug, another Doug Gred, but another Doug that Doug Sachetano is a V1 and doing really well in painting cameras, shading cameras, and we have 2 or 3 different people here in our groups and in our friends that is struggling with some of that, and so he's going to jump in and we're going to talk about the basics behind it and just kind of do some show and tell a little bit of some tricks and tips that he may have in some of his work. So it should be a good time. So that's what we got going, and I appreciate you guys for coming by, and we'll see you next week.